Recording in progress. All right, everyone. Let's receive 3 breaths together, will you? Everyone, inhale. Ah. And 2 more times. Inhale. Ah. One last time. Inhale. Ah. We're going to spend about an hour together focused on ice baths. I want to share my passion for the ice baths. I've been facilitating now almost 7,000 people doing ice baths. So I am very excited to share a lot of things that I've discovered along the way. And the science is pretty limited, and I think it would be very interesting to have a discussion. So what we're going to do is I'm going to be doing some talking, try to be entertaining, and then we'll open for questions and discussion, knowing that this will be recorded. And so make sure you're okay with being filmed. Otherwise, turn off your camera when you'll be asking questions. Okay. So the do's and don't of ice baths. I hear and I read so much, and people come all the time asking, how long should I take an ice bath? What the temperature should be like? Should I do it right after the sauna or not? Should I wait in between? How about women? How is it? Is it good or bad? Does it impact hormones? And and I tell you right away, for me, what I've learned with all these people is that we should let go of the rules and let go of the expectation of having answers. And I think that's going to disappoint everyone. But when people come to me and says, Alex, give me the answer. You're the expert. Tell me. Well, what I've learned is that there is not good or bad, that there is some benefits and some downsides to doing everything, but it's not like it's good or bad. And what I always tell people is to learn to develop a relationship with themselves so they can learn to trust themselves. And instead of waiting for some kind of authority to tell them, well, come on, where are the studies? I want to know the science. Well, you need to know that the biggest effect is the placebo effect. And if you read something and you choose to believe that it's true, then it will be true. And we see that over and over with a lot of people coming up with some hypothesis on theory about how to do something. And then some kind of a study comes out and then they change their mind. And very often, when we look deep into how the studies were made, we can see that they are very biased. A lot of studies on uh, the length of an ice bath, for instance, it's done on people who were already bathing or already doing cold plunging, and then they did study on them, and then they could say, well, those people are healthier or have less sick days than people who don't do ice baths. Yes, but if you are naturally doing ice baths, maybe there are other things that you do. Maybe you take care of your sleep, maybe you take care of your diet, and all of a sudden we will think that because you do an ice bath it will have a positive impact. Well, yes, but I'm not sure the study is well designed enough in order to conclude that. And very often, when I read scientific papers or when I hear and I look at criticism of the scientific papers, I can see that the study is quite limited. So, my first point is drop the concept of good or bad, but learn to develop a relationship with your body. And with that, come up with what works for you. Yeah, so I'll come up with some basic safety, but keep in mind that those are generic terms. And in my workshops, I welcome everybody. And very often for me, it's all about your relationship with yourself and how you connect to yourself and your nervous system and your ability to regulate your nervous system. And we live in a world where we want to keep everything safe, safe, safe. So, of course, there are some contraindication, and people will tell you in a workshop, well, sign a waiver or go ask your doctor who doesn't have a clue about any of it. And that's pretty much what it comes down to. So we sign waivers as facilitators we ask people to sign waivers to protect ourselves. But in a nutshell, it comes down to the relation to the nervous system. So let's start with the safety first before we go into really the non classic things about ice baths. I'll share a lot of things that I've learned along the way. But first, there are some basic safety. If you are prone to epilepsy, if you have hypertension, heart conditions, if you're pregnant, if you're old, if you're young, if you have Raynaud, then in that case, you want to be a bit cautious when it comes to practicing ice baths. Yeah, so Raynaud is a problem related to blood circulations in the extremities. Whoop, I'm blurry now. But my experience with Raynaud, so people basically don't have sensitivity in their extremities. But I've had tons of students and graduates with Raynaud who have cured Raynaud with intermittent cold exposure. They will do 10 seconds in the ice, 10 seconds out, and get back into their blood circulation and improve it. Same with epilepsy. I've had people with epilepsy, my own daughter, and I wouldn't take any risk there, but I did, and absolutely no problem. But it's reclaiming her nervous system and feeling how she feels about it and not pushing her. And for me, the number one safety practice is about checking if the person wants to do it or not. When people say they have a heart attack, it's usually because they didn't want to do an ice bath. They were on a boat, they fell in the ice, and then they have a panic attack, and that panic attack led them to having a heart attack. But if you choose willingly, relaxed, to go into a cold bath first, and then in an ice bath, even if you have a heart condition, you can potentially do it. And it's more about your ability to control your heart. And very often, what we take for a heart attack was first a panic attack. The panic attack led to the heart attack. So it comes back to the nervous system. Pregnancy is a tricky one. But I had women with being pregnant, but they had prior experience with ice baths and they know where they are in their cycle. And again, they control their breath. So they're not hyperventilating when they go into an ice bath. And they actually enjoy how the ice bath is helping them with relieving the pain of the pregnancy. And same with old people and young people, they don't have the same thermoregulation. They don't have the same ability to regulate their body temperature because of the size of the body or the blood circulation. But again, with someone with experience, titrating, going slowly, with experience, I had people up to 80 years old in an ice bath, and I had people at 5 years old in an ice bath. But when I have someone who's 5 years old, I always apply the main principles of safety for me is to check if the person wants to do it. So when the parents are not around, I go and I speak with the kid and it says, hey, how do you feel about this ice bath thing? Is it something you want to do, or are you doing it because your parents tell you to do it? And I have the authority. I'm the pilot in the plane. And if I don't feel that the child wants to do it, then he doesn't do it. And if he wants to do it, I don't put any pressure on him. There is no expectation from him. And we try to have a good time and fun. And he's going to have a great first experience with ice baths. But if you stick to what teachers will tell you, it says, oh, you have to be 13. That's what Wim Hof would say. Yeah, again, for me, it's more about, do you want to do it or not? And it's true for anyone. Has nothing to do with children. I had couples and the wife was doing it just because she wanted to follow her husband, but she hated it. She didn't want to do it. And she had a panic attack and it was a catastrophe. I mean, most of my lessons I learned the hard way by doing mistakes over and over. So it's not, I speak really from experience. And when I had people in my workshop who didn't really want to be there, or they did it because someone told them that it would be good for them, then I smell danger. But if someone pays for the workshop, wants to be there, then I know that it's going to be a safe environment for them. So I really focus on how is the nervous system of the person, how are they doing? People ask me, can you do ice baths too much? And I would say yes. I've seen that over and over. people who have a dysregulation of their nervous system, and they do it too much, too long, and then all of a sudden their nervous system gets deregulated and they are not able to sleep anymore. They get stuck into fight, flight. So it's important to, again, go back to the golden rule of getting to know yourself, know your limit, and, rule of thumb. Did that feel good? Do I feel better after? Does it affect positively my life, my digestion, my sleep? Do I feel overwhelmed? All this needs to be taken into account, because if you're doing it but you're not able to regulate, to down-regulate after, then you just put additional pressure to a system that was already under pressure. Yeah, this concept of uh, um, when you have a system and you put pressure on it, if you put too much pressure on it, yeah, you exhaust it. It's called the law of Hormesis. If I want to grow my muscles, I need some weight. But if I lift too much weight, I'm going to hurt myself. So if your nervous system is already exhausted, and then you do on top of that ice bath, then yes, it's not going to be okay. Same people ask me, well, I did an ice bath and I got sick. Yes, because what the ice bath does, it puts pressure on your immune system. And if your immune system was already exhausted, then you put too much pressure on your immune system, then it's not going to be working for you. So, see, it's not that ice bath is good or bad. It's very personal, and everybody is different. And it's what I say to my students, and I teach people how to become ice bath facilitators and breathwork facilitators. And I tell them you need to develop attunement. You need to feel, you need to connect to your intuition and connect to the other person. If you are attuned, then this is going to be a safe space, because you're going to feel that person can do it or cannot do it. But if you're not connected, to the other person, that's going to be a bit harder. Yeah, so very important, this concept of hormesis, if you put too much pressure. So I tell people, how do you feel? And I would refer you, I don't have time, I would refer you to the BOLT score, BOLT, body oxygen level test. Check how long you can hold your breath. That gives you usually a good idea of how's your immune system. If you call a doctor, they will check with an oximeter your oxygen saturation. So your CO2 tolerance is a good indicator of how am I doing. So having awareness, having knowledge about, hey, how do I feel today, is my North Star when it comes to ice baths. If I feel already that I'm overwhelmed and I didn't sleep well, my oxygen saturation is under 95, then maybe I don't do an ice bath. But I also prioritize sleep and rest and fasting instead of having sugar and alcohol. So I will adjust my whole lifestyle according to how do I feel today. That's why breathwork is so important. It gives me a moment where I can attune to myself and feel, hey, how am I doing today? Yeah? So really important to have this level of attunement and feel it. Now, when it comes to ice bath safety, I give you my secret. I don't give people a time. I've let go of the two main metrics people use in ice baths. People are always focused on doing a certain time and going at a certain temperature. And all internet is about that. I did a 0 degree, 2 minute, 5 minutes, 10-minute ice bath. And then you have these, role models that do a 1 hour, 3 hour ice bath. And all of a sudden we want to compare ourselves to these people. That's where the danger comes in. So in my workshop, there is no time and there is no temperature, because those are very much ego related and control related. And what I want people to experience in my breathwork and ice bath training is something that they need so much, which they will learn in the ice bath, which is to let go of control. And that's the number one benefit of ice baths, to let go of control. And everyone watching the replay needs this ice bath for that reason, because we want to control all the time. We are control freaks. Why? Because we don't feel safe. When you don't feel safe, you control, you want to control. That's the natural reaction of the body in an unsafe environment. And for that, we say, well, how long is the ice bath? This gives me control, then I can feel safe. But if I remove the time, I remove the concept of temperature, that you don't have a choice. You have to be present with yourself. You have to connect intimately and to tune into that barometer. And from that place, you will know when it's time to get out. You will know when enough is enough. Yeah, of course, there is some limit. I don't tell them. With me, it's 2 minutes. There is no ice bath longer than 2 minutes. But I don't communicate that. I let them focus on their interoception, going inside. And what do I feel? What's happening inside of me? Thanks to Marc Cohen, I call ice baths forced mindfulness practice. And I'm a big fan of forced mindfulness practices. I love massages. Massages are a forced mindfulness practice. I have to lay down and do nothing for an hour and a half. Oh my God. Why do you think meditation is so hard? You have to do nothing. Yeah. But ice bath is a forced mindfulness practice. You get in and that's it. You're forced into presence. Why are you forced into presence? Because we are changing chemistry in our body. We shut down the prefrontal cortex. You're getting activation of this beautiful fight flight of the sympathetic nervous system. In that moment, you need to survive. And that shuts down certain parts of the brain. And that forces you into present moment awareness. If I'm going to die, I don't care about the future. I don't care about the past. I have to be surviving the next minute. And that's what you want to access. You cannot access that if you enter it looking at the timer, distracting yourself, thinking always outcome, outcome, outcome. So we remove time and we remove temperature. Again, it's just the ego that wants to say, oh, I did a 0-degree ice bath. But actually, you don't need the ice. The ice is good for social media. It looks cool. Yes, I get it. And if you say I did an ice bath and there is no ice, then no one can say it's true or not. I get it. But the truth is, I don't see much benefit of doing a really, really cold bath. I see way more benefits in doing a cold bath than an ice bath. My bath is about 6-7 degrees, not less than that. Well, you know what? I enjoy it. I love it. And as a result, I want to do it again. If you do something that is really hard because someone tells you it's really good for you, but it's a battle, and at the end you come out of it and says, oh my God, I did it. I don't need to prove it to anyone anymore. I did it. I've achieved it. I jumped from the plane. I did it. Thank you very much. I will never do that again. What's the point of it? What's the benefit? Okay, cool. You have a good post on social media. No, I want people coming out of my sessions in love with the practice. And I find that for that, it's way nicer to start with a cold bath than an ice bath. And then by themselves, they choose later on to go for an ice bath. But I encourage people, use this is another good term, to titrate, to start with something and little by little, step by step, if you want, reduce the temperature. But literally, I don't believe, and I haven't been convinced by any studies that tell me that a 0-degree ice bath gets me more benefits than a 6-degree ice bath. As long as you get this reaction of your nervous system, you get the production of all the good hormones. I'll come to that, and that's good enough. But hang on a minute. You know the difference between a 0-degree ice bath and a 6, 7, 10-degree ice bath, even 12-degree ice bath? In the 12-degree ice bath, I can stay longer. And then all of a sudden, I'm having an incredible meditation. I'm there, you see the picture. I'm in my rice fields. I'm looking at the birds. I'm having a blissful moment. That's what I get out of the ice bath is, oh my God, life is beautiful. I reconnect to these beautiful parts and it's, oh my God. And I'm not focused on, okay, when do I get out of this thing? I hate it. I'm trying to power through it. And I see so much of that on social media is this idea of, okay, this is good for you and do that. What about joy? What about pleasure? What about fun? if we bring those back, you know, the next thing my brain is registering is anchored is like the good experience, and then I will want to do it again. And then all of a sudden, I do it twice today. Yeah. So from the rules that you see, okay, you shouldn't. I mean, if you look at the things on social media, they will tell you you should do it 4 times a week of a maximum of 11 minutes. Okay, that's what you would overall see. Drop that. Drop that. Okay, now you've got it because it's you wanted a number. Drop that, and just check what feels right, what you enjoy, and from that place, your body will know when it's too much and when you want more. And there will be period where your body actually needs warm and doesn't feel like it, and there are moments where your body will crave it, because maybe you have inflammation in your body, you've got soreness in your muscles, and okay, your body is telling you. If you are able to learn to listen to your body, then forget this webinar. You will know what to do. You will connect to the source, to your intuition, to your gut feeling, to your instinct. This is way more powerful than going to the gods of Huberman or Rhonda Patrick or whoever you consider, or Soderbergh or Marc Cohen, whoever you would say is an authority on the topic. I'm sorry, but drop the teachers and drop the gurus and drop the science and go back to your beautiful self. And from that place, you will enjoy life because it will feel right. It will feel right. And if it feels right, it is right. Okay, so continuing because I have so much I want to share. Safety, hypothermia. Hypothermia is a very serious thing, and we need to have awareness of hypothermia. I've had hypothermia twice. Once in a training with Wim Hof in Poland with the best teachers around me. And I was so cold that they told me, oh, go into the sauna. And I had my hypothermia inside the sauna. Yeah, so it's really important when it comes to ice baths to warm up slowly. And actually, if you want a safety principle, I would say that's the main one. What happens in an ice bath, you have something called vasoconstriction. Yeah, your veins, your nerves, your arteries get narrower, wide for the blood going to the extremities to protect your core organs. So all of a sudden, your hands, that's why hands hurt, feet hurt in an ice bath, but not the core. That's why you can go skiing with a t-shirt, but you need gloves and socks. Yeah. So when you come out of the ice bath, you have vasodilatation. All of a sudden, you will have the hot blood that is in the core going back to the extremities, so your hands and feet will be fine. And then the cold blood that was in the extremities come to your core, and then your body temperature can drop 2-3 degrees. So all of a sudden, you come out the ice bath, you thought you were fine, and 2-3 minutes later, you're not fine. And if you go into a sauna, or even if you jump in a pool, you have even more vasodilatation, and the cold is going to go even deeper into your core, into your bones, and then you're literally going to be cold to the bones. And that's a very real thing, and that could be very dangerous. Because, when you get a hypothermic, all of a sudden you get blurred vision, you don't speak properly, and your movements are not great. So people can hurt themselves just by falling, and you can do that in a sauna. So really be mindful of what's happening after the ice bath. I like to tell in my workshops, the ice bath starts when you get out of the ice bath. Yeah, so be very mindful of that. And at the same time, I will share some edgy practices when we are actually going towards being cold, but it's done consciously. Yeah, so it's something that we do it with intention. Now, another thing to take into account is because of this vasoconstriction, vasodilatation, this whole blood pressure change. Yeah, and people who have high blood pressure, low blood pressure, why you have to be careful, because when you come out of the ice bath or you come out of the sauna or you change state, all of a sudden you can get lightheaded and dizzy. So those transition times are the ones you want to be paying attention. So coming out of an ice bath is a slow process. We come out, we take a moment to pause, then we stand up if we need to, and then we come out, but there is no rushing into it. Yeah. So very often accidents happen because people hit themselves as a consequence of not having fully recovered from it. Those are all very physical things. But I work with trauma, and I find that the most important when it comes to ice baths is the emotional safety. Because ice baths can bring up a lot of emotions, a lot of repressed, unexpressed emotion that are buried in there, and they can come out. Actually, I encourage that. I am against how people do ice baths online. What you see all the time is this idea of getting into the ice bath but not showing any emotion. You see these guys, they even have this no blinking challenge. You get in the ice and you're cool, literally. You're relaxed. Nothing's going on. I'm sorry, but you are enough in control all the time. When you get into the ice bath, my first advice is get out of the way. Get a good scream. Get a good whatever needs to come out. I was in India last week and I went into a fancy spa and they had an ice bath and I went into it and I screamed. And then the management came and they said, you can't do that here. That's exactly what the problem, this problem in our society. The idea is that you should always be quiet and speak softly and kindly and respectfully and all that. Oh my God, we are telling everyone all the time, your emotions are not welcome. You cannot feel. So what people do, they repress it. And anger is not welcome, and sadness, and all these emotions are, we do all we can to not feel anymore. Fuck that shit. Use the ice bath, use the trigger, the sympathetic activation to let it out. Finally, let it out. So get in the ice. Don't try to control your breathing. Don't try to do anything smart. Get out of the way and enjoy. You're letting go of control. Good for you. And that's what I tell everybody. And it feels so good. It feels so good to finally let go and get your voice back. So many people don't dare to use their voice because they have been told to shut up, to play it small. Well, get in the ice and find your voice. Let it out. Yeah. So, very important. And then regulate. And then regulate. But don't miss out. So one thing that is very important in the ice is to have someone, ideally someone who has done my training and who can help you be with these emotions, because that can be overwhelming. If you've been suppressing and repressing all your life and all of a sudden an emotion comes, that might be difficult. That might not be the easiest things to manage. So again, the integration is the most important. I consider breathwork prep work. In my training, you learn that the most important is not the breathing, is the circle after, is the integration, is when we share, when we open up. Same with the ice bath. When something very emotional comes up, be able to hold the space to be there for them. And it's not always what you think. You have no idea how many people have orgasms in my ice bath, and they feel ashamed because pleasure is something that is not okay. It's shameful. And people feel guilty. And they, oh my God, I had an orgasm. That's not. And then they have a whole process around that. So you need to be able to welcome everything that's coming up for people, because you might be surprised how they react to their emotions and whatever is coming up for them. And being trauma informed means to be able to welcome everything without judgment, without trying to fix, but just be there. Be there for another human. And in a moment, I'm going to share some practical tools, so what you can do in an ice bath to regulate your nervous system. But I tell you right away that there is something way easier than self-regulate, which is to co-regulate. And if you have the right person next to you, then this will be more helpful than any other breathing technique that you will apply to yourself. Because yes, cool, it's fantastic to be able to regulate one's nervous system, but it's not always easy. And what I want people to take away from my workshops is it's easier to co-regulate than self-regulate. You don't have to do it alone. Another lie of our society, that I have to do it don't share your problems. This is family problems. No one needs to know. I've got this. Fuck that shit. When you open up, when you share authentically, I'm not okay, I need help, I need support, then it changes everything. So I tell you one rule in my workshop: you're not allowed to get out of the ice bath if you have not asked for help. So if you get in the ice and you hold it together and all of a sudden it's too much and you get out, you fail in my world. Yeah? In my world, whoop, get focused, Alex. In my world, you have to say, I'm not okay. Please grab my hands, look at me in the eyes. I'm struggling. And maybe I will pick up on it. Maybe you will change your breathing. Maybe I will get signs. But some people are really good at suppressing. They will just repress and you will not see anything. And all of a sudden, boom, they're out because they've been trying to control. So I want them to learn that they need to accept that it's okay to not be okay. And in that moment to say, you know what? I want to get out. But voice it, express it. I can't do it. Express it, say it. And here is the secret. When people say it, it goes away. People, just the fact that they say, you know what, Alex, I can't do it. And they start crying and releasing things. Of course, I don't care. They go out when they go out. There is no time and no one's telling them what to do. But the fact that they share that they're not okay, the fact that they say, help me, to me or their buddy, because in my ice bath, there are two people at the same time. So you're not alone in the ice. You have someone else in the ice with you. And the fact that you're able to share that, it's a game changer for people. They realize, oh my God, I actually can ask for help. It's okay. I'm not weak when I ask for help. Whoa, here is a powerful life lesson. Something else you don't find about benefits of ice baths on YouTube or on ChatGPT. The power of co-regulation. Because of course, who cares about ice baths? Ice bath is a stressor. So the point of ice bath is to be able to handle stress differently, to change your relationship with stress, to train yourself. So when stress comes in an unwanted way, all of a sudden you know what to do. You train at it. That's why I do ice baths. I do ice baths. So when my girlfriend kisses another boy, happened 2 days ago, in front of me, not the best experience. I know what to do. I asked for help. I called a friend and says, you know what? It sucks. I'm not okay. I'm angry. Can you be there for me? Because I'm really fucking angry. Half an hour later, I was okay. I didn't have to just loop that story, not a nice one, in my head over and over. I could just feel the anger, give it permission, don't need to suppress anything, and let it out, co-regulate, self-regulate, and life is good again. This is what the ice bath is all about. It's a prep work for real life experiences. But if you're not able to apply it into your life, then, what's the point of it? And that's where I see that, yeah, here is, you ask me, what's the benefit of ice bath? Yeah, should have seen me too. I slept very well. I didn't have any problem. Yes, because I felt it in the moment, whatever I was needing to feel. I didn't need to suppress anymore. I am a human being. Okay, so co-regulation, letting go of outcome, focusing on present moment awareness, enjoying this principle of forced mindfulness, beautiful forced mindfulness, shuts down the prefrontal cortex, brings you into present. Amazing. So remember, guys, titrating, doing little by little. So don't need to do an ice bath. Do a 15-degree ice bath, cold bath, and then if you want, you play with it. You can go to 10-degree. But your barometer is: do I enjoy it? Do I have fun? Do I like it? Keep it that way. And you can do ice baths, but you can also don't put clothes when it's cold. That's also a fantastic way to appreciate. You can have cold showers, but there are many ways you can be with the cold. I enjoy being cold when everybody else is always with jumpers and no jumpers. It's okay. How do I feel if I don't add a jumper? If I stay cold in that moment, be with that. Yeah. And the importance of not going too fast into contrast therapy to properly. I like to cool down after the sauna, to warm up after the ice bath, then go into it just for the safety aspect of it. And the importance of integration and relaxation. You know, what's the point of yoga? The purpose of yoga is shavasana. The only purpose of yoga is shavasana. So you work your ass in Ashtanga yoga for an hour and a half, all that just so you can lay down and do nothing. And that's the purpose. That's when properly the body can integrate. And you can apply that to everything. If you go to the gym and you do a workout, also do a lay down and relax. And if you go to a fancy spa, they have now rooms with lounge chairs and nothing else, and really comfy ones. Why? Because you need to spend as much time stressing your body to really rebound and relax. So after your ice bath, lay down and breathe and feel. After your sauna, lay down and breathe and feel. Enjoy this. So don't rush into it. Yeah. So that's already a lot. Oh my God, 20 more minutes. I wanted to do Q&A, but I have more to share. Woman and man. People ask me, what's the difference between a man and a woman? There are differences. You know, you put a couple, all the couples will know that there's a constant fight in the bedroom around the temperature of the AC, right? So there is a difference between men and women. Women are more sensitive to the cold, and there's not a lot of benefits for them to do an ice bath. There's nothing to prove. There is less usually ego than in men. So I usually have people doing women doing cold baths instead of ice baths and enjoying that very much. But then if they want to do ice baths, they do ice baths. There is the option to do both. And in my workshop, there is the space for both. And people choose for themselves. But there is a lot of people have reported in the past that it dysregulated their period. And they didn't enjoy that. So for them, I say, well, just start with a cold bath and then see how it goes. But a lot of women also report that the ice bath helps with cramping, and they have less cramps, premenstrual pain. So that's when it comes to women. No need to do it as cold, and see how it feels. Now, next, how to breathe in the ice. So first of all, we've heard it, get out of the way. Means don't try to control your breathing. Very important. Just let it go. I love little hack how I get in the ice. I get in the ice at the bottom of my exhale. And I find that really cool. So how I do in the ice, I take 5 breaths. And at the end of my last breath, I hold at the top. So I take an inhale. And I exhale as I get in the ice. When I get in the ice, I'm going to get this incredible urge to take a big inhale. Yeah, my activation of the sympathetic is going to make me a big gasp, right? But now I'm at the bottom of my exhale, and basically I'm getting the biggest inhale of my life. I'm getting a full expansion of my rib cage, and it feels amazing. Often I feel, a little bit like when you do some movement of the belly in Kriya Yoga, all of a sudden I have this crack of my back and a full expansion, like Naoli Kriya, like a full expansion of my rib cage, just because I entered at the bottom of an exhale. Plus, it's a little hack, but exhaling is relaxing. So you exhale getting into the ice. So you're telling your system, I'm doing something fun, right? Because when you're stressed, you go for the inhale. But no, I'm going to have a good time. Fantastic. I always say that the ice bath starts before getting in the ice. And I always ask people, how do you feel before they get in? And usually people tell me 2 things. They tell me, oh, I'm extremely stressed. I'm extremely nervous. I'm scared. Or they can tell me I'm very excited. And I tell them, well, hang on a minute. At the nervous level, system level, it's the same thing. Excited and nervous is the same thing. Is your brain is interpreting some signal from the body. There is an activation of your sympathetic nervous system. But are you a lion who needs to run to eat, or are you a zebra who wants to escape and survive? And that's your perspective. So I tell people, well, take a moment and see if you're able to shift from zebra to lion. Can you shift? You got the stimulation, this sensation in the body of, oh my God, I want to run away. Okay, I get it. But you can also interpret it as, oh my God, I'm going to do something I've never done before. I don't know what's going to happen. This is new. Of course, I'm excited. I'm going to. And just that, when they're able to do the shift, it can change everything in their life. Because then all of a sudden, they can welcome change as a potential positive thing. They can welcome it. So again, the ice bath is such a teacher. It says, oh my God, I feel something. Okay, well, let's interpret what we feel. Okay, am I excited or am I nervous? And if you apply that, what you learn in the ice bath to real life, all of a sudden you change your relationship to stress. Back to focus, Alex. Hello. Shouldn't move my fingers too much. It's getting dark here. Okay, so ice bath starts before you get in, and then you get in, and you get out of the way. Then I tell people I recommend two types of breathing when they want to take control. The first one, it's called box breathing. Yeah, box breathing. Why is box breathing such a great breathing technique? It's because it's complicated. You need to focus. I mean, it's basically I take an inhale, a hold, an exhale, a hold, and they are the same length. So it can be 2 seconds at the beginning because you're hyperventilating. And then slowly, as you come down, you're going to go to 3 seconds, 4 seconds, and it's 4, 4, 4, 3, 3, 3, 5, 5, 5. And connecting, focusing on your breath for a while helps you just put your mind somewhere else. And when you control your breathing, you control your heart rate, and you control your heart rate, and everything goes back. You change your from sympathetic to parasympathetic. So that's one that I enjoy facilitating. The other one is really, really advanced. It takes 9 years to learn this breathing technique called Tummo. And this is a very ancient Tibetan breathing practice. And actually, that's what Wim Hof is doing himself when he's in an ice bath. And it's basically breathing as if you were trying to light up a fire that is dying. And how you do that? You basically visualize a fire in your chest, and that fire is burning, and you want to get it up. And how you do that? Imagine I'm going to blow in a very steady way to the flame to get it up. So it's going to be. And I'm going to go to the bottom, yeah? When you're in front of the fire. And then you take an inhale and you go again. So you blow 5 times like that. And then what do you do when you're in front of the fire? You sit back and you watch and you get the flame going. It's the same way you start visualizing this flame inside of you burning. And you sit by the fire and now you're meditating. And you feel you're struggling again, you blow again. So those are the 3 breathing techniques. Few more things I want to share. Shivering. Shivering is fantastic and it's just has a bad reputation. I know that because whenever I go to a public ice bath or cold bath and I'm in the bath and I shiver and people know me or recognize me, they make fun of me. They say, oh, you're the Iceman and look at you, it's 10 degrees and you're shivering. So we really have this image that shivering is weak. It's not. The real man, he's stoic. He doesn't show anything. He has no movement, no emotion. He's like, who is our superhero by excellence? Is Superman. Superman is the man. He saved the world, but then what does he do? He comes back home and he lies to his wife. That's Superman. So again, maybe we have a problem with the gods and the heroes we have chosen. So instead of that, I'm loving my shivering. So I go in the ice and I lean towards the shivering, because what is shivering? First of all, the natural movement of all my muscles to heat up. I'm getting an incredible relaxation of all my muscles. Yeah. And what animals do after having a traumatic situation, they shake, they release. So I get an incredible relaxation by giving my whole body to shiver and shake. So I'm enjoying that. I almost go there almost immediately. And I can have all of a sudden 5, 6 minutes of constant shivering in the ice bath. And I come out of it, and oh my God, all my muscles are relaxed. Amazing. So here is the answer. You want to be shivery, but not shivering. I want to be able to stay in control, knowing that if I wanted to, I could come out of it. That now shivering is a choice, is not something that I cannot control. And this changes everything. I go in the ice, I enjoy it. It's an amazing release of all those tensions in my body. Why, for me, main benefit of ice baths over everything else. And I come out of it and I can be fully relaxed. So the idea is, can you control the shivers if you wanted to or not? Little hack, if you splash water in your face, you're going to activate the vagus nerve, and that's going to get you to relax. So if you feel, oh my God, I'm shivering, but I cannot stop it, a little splash in the face and usually does the trick. But it's also a good indicator, if you cannot stop it, that it's time to get out. And that's a good one. I must say there that we're not all equal towards the ice bath. Everybody's different. Has a lot to do with your mental state, but also your physical state. Like if you don't have a lot of body fat, if you're very skinny, well, that's going to be way harder. It's common sense, right? So people with more body fat maybe are likely to do better in an ice bath. You know who I find struggle in the ice bath very often? Really big struggle? Big guys, strong guys with a lot of muscles. They have been protecting themselves, they are in control all the time, and they really cannot show vulnerability, especially if you have a 50-year-old woman who is with them in the ice bath who has no problem, because women have a higher pain threshold because they are designed to give birth. So usually women do better for that reason, because they resist better to pain than men. And then all of a sudden the guy in front of her is like, oh my God, I can't do it. And then you have a problem. You have a problem if they get out, because they will feel they're a failure and you will have to help them emotionally after to deal with it. Or they can get really angry at you and blame you, because people project in those moments. So usually muscular guys are guys that I actually pay attention to, because there is a lot of ego and there's a lot of stories around superiority that comes with the muscles. And I find that can be, for me, it's one of my red flag. I pay attention and I try to make sure that they feel safe, actually, these guys. I make sure that they don't feel they have to do anything. So as a facilitator, it's very important to really make sure that everyone feels safe. So ice bath, amazing for tension release. I use it for as an anti-procrastination practice. So why? Because I produce 2 to 5 times noradrenaline or norepinephrine when you get into the ice bath, and that gives me focus, alertness. It improves my mood, gives me better attention. So I love ice baths as an anti-procrastination practice. It gives me my hit of dopamine. We always want that bloody dopamine. That's why we are on social media and craving it with all the addictions that people are struggling with. I always say that it's the addiction is there for a reason. There's nothing wrong with the cocaine or the alcohol. What's right with the alcohol? It's serving a purpose. You need it. There is some pain that is there, that is trying to be covered and protected. So instead of fighting the addiction, which is complete nonsense, we need to have compassion and understanding. And if we can bring some positive way of producing dopamine, 250% increase in dopamine when you get in the ice bath. So here is your shoot of motivation, pleasure, your reward pathway is activated, your drive. So all of a sudden you're going to be getting out of this fogginess and depression. You get happy and excited about life, and you get that woo right away. Cortisol. People ask me about cortisol, and I'm the kind of person who has quite a high cortisol. Usually these days I'm good, but you have a little increase in cortisol at the beginning. So you have a little increase, about 20% of your cortisol will increase when you get in the ice, but you get a rebound after. It will go down because you feel more relaxed after the ice bath than before the ice bath. So yes, you have a temporary increase of cortisol, but if you do it right, it reduces chronic stress and reactivity. So absolutely enjoy that. You get this rush of adrenaline, another thing that people are addicted to. So amazing for energy, gets your heart rate going, amazing for blood pressure. So get to enjoy that. And of course, you get an increase in testosterone. And I didn't know, I checked, I have really high testosterone. You know that. So with that, it's great for muscle repair. People ask me about ice baths and exercising. Amazing for muscle repair. Of course, libido, that's what testosterone is famous for, but also recovery and regeneration. There is a lot of benefits of testosterone that is beyond what we think about around libido. It's also amazing for insulin and regulating the blood sugar. So it improves your insulin sensitivity. And what it will do is really amazing to improve your regulation and your uptake of glucose in your muscles. And finally, it's amazing for improving your thyroid hormone, T3 and T4, for those who know. So it stimulates brown fat activation, and that leads to increase in those T4 and active T3. So amazing enhancing of your metabolism. Oh my God. So there is like really tangible benefits of it. I find at the end that for me, it's about letting go of control. It's about finding joy in my life. It's about being happy. It's it's about feeling my emotions. It's about being a human that feels what he needs to feel, about releasing what needs to be released. And yeah, my friend, I could literally go on forever. We have the hacks to relax that Marc is very famous for. I'll share that in and links to his hacks to relax in the show notes and for people who can get the recording. You get cold shock protein. I mean, I got fast. I spoke a lot. I could go on forever, but yeah, I always say ice bath is the answer. What is your question? And I have the same with breathwork. So that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed that. And now I will open for questions. Unmute yourself if you want to ask anything.
I've got a question.
Go ahead.
So if somebody is on blood pressure tablets and they want to do ice bath,
They are on blood pressure tablets.
yeah, so they're regulated by blood pressure tablets. What are the dangers of that? Is it a titration thing where you put them in slowly but surely? You don't want plaque to be breaking off from their where they are having problems with their blood pressure and that sort of thing. Are you going to be, can you do it, and can you do it slowly, or is it not recommended?
So I'll invite Marc, who's an expert, to answer technically, so you have a complete answer. I don't want to. It's a little bit out of my
I
depth.
think I think you've already nailed it, Alex. No matter what medication you're on, whether it's blood pressure or their heart meds, it's about how do you feel when you go into it. So you want to make sure you're calm and relaxed going in. You don't want to be forced. Um, and I mean, there is an issue, and I don't want to scare people, but um, after COVID, people with spike protein, you've seen like videos of athletes falling, dropping dead on the pitch when they're really, very active, because there can be pericarditis either from COVID, post-COVID, or from vaccine injury. So myocarditis and pericarditis, when you're very stressed, can cause a heart attack. And a lot of athletes, young people, have been dying. That potentially can happen in an ice bath because you get that same adrenaline and that same shock. So you don't want to push people too hard. So that's the same with
You
blood
can do
pressure.
it.
Sorry?
It is possible. Obviously, if they have the desire and willingness, you can do it.
Absolutely.
So you
Absolutely.
take them in slowly,
But
or
yeah,
do you
that's the
put
other
them in?
thing I would have said, Claire, is to instead of going immediately, like in one go in the
Very
ice,
slow.
it's also nice to, there is a lot, you can look at ice bath rebirthing. It's actually a breath modality to actually go very, very slow and progressively in the ice and enjoy that. So for me, any condition, anything that where I'm not sure, that's my go-to. I go for a cold bath and not an ice bath. I make sure that the person is in a good state, relaxed, want to do it before. And then we go slowly and we just check in and we keep smiling and we keep
That's
relaxing.
it.
There is no, and uh, I've never had a problem. The problems I had is when I didn't respect those rules in my early days. But now it's always extremely safe, regardless of that. I welcome everybody in my workshop now.
I mean, with blood pressure, there is an issue usually with low blood pressure. That's when you stand up too quickly. Most commonly with sauna, that you drop your blood pressure too fast. And Alex has already said, you do things slowly. You make sure you're stable, you get out, you sit, then you stand. But I wouldn't be concerned. But then you wouldn't be pushing it too hard as well. It's up to how confident you are in that moment.
Thank you, Claire. Yeah,
And can I have one more question?
yeah, yeah,
People with Raynaud's,
yeah.
they normally I suggest they wear gloves. I normally suggest gloves for extremities. Even with those gloves on, there must be some good because the blood circulation is cooler anyway. Does it actually positively affect them, even though it is an illness per se or a disease of the body?
I mean, I had a lot of people with Raynaud, including some people who are now trainers of ice baths, and they've cured Raynaud with cold. So I don't know if there is an existing protocol, but what I tell them to do is a bucket with ice. So we're no longer doing ice baths, we're just doing the extremities, and they are consciously every day training their nervous system and by putting the hands in the ice or in the cold, 10 seconds, coming out, getting the nerves working, back at it, and I've had incredible results, cured. Of course, if you look at ChatGPT or if you ask doctors, they will say stay away from the cold. I don't use gloves. I mean, and I don't use anything. Mark, you
Okay.
have something to say on that?
Um, yeah, most doctors and ChatGPT have no clue, so they're not helpful. Um, but some people, I get them to leave their hands out of the water when they're in the bath, just because
No, I
if
always do that as well. We don't put the hands and even and
yeah,
sometimes also keeping the, if it's a bath, a nice bath, putting the feet up. But
that's
it's all
right.
about empowering people, you know. So it's not so much that I don't tell people what to do anymore. I just
Exactly.
explain things and then I let them decide for themselves. People ask me, do I put my hand under? I don't put my head under. It's just, I explain to
Wear
you the
gloves or not.
difference, and then you let people and enjoy for themselves. And it's so nice for people to feel empowered rather than feel, oh my God, I listened to this person and this person had told me this and he's certified Wim Hof, so I trust him. Anything like that. We drop all that and we get people to reconnect and realize, well, I can be my own teacher. I can be my own and make my own decisions. And they live quite empowered.
I
I
think
have
that's
another.
the correct approach. Yeah. That's good.
He needs some help. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Claire. Anyone else has any question?
I
Yeah,
have one more.
Alex, could I ask a question from Gregor?
Yes, so I'm going to remove you for now, Claire. And Greg, welcome. One of my biggest fan.
Hey, I think you've been pretty tough on contrast therapy today. And I just wonder, Alex, if your experience in southern Poland has skewed your views. I mean, I've practiced contrast therapy for most of my adult life, and in the north of Europe, it's central to our core. But whatever happened there, if I'm doing any water and it's under 5 degrees after a sauna, I'm only in for 30 seconds and then the contrasts go on. And it's part of our culture. And I just wonder, when you got hypothermia, I know I've been on your courses, they're really well controlled, particularly the ice, and you've covered really well the safety aspects of it. But I think that was more down to poor control measures than contrast therapy per se.
So first of all, I'm in Bali, as
Yeah,
you
I
know.
know.
So it's quite easy to do an ice bath, and it's easy to keep it safe in Bali. So I must warn people to take additional safety measures when it comes to doing ice baths in an environment where the outside temperature is cold. It's obviously way more dangerous and harder to warm up in that environment. So it's important to have some kind of a warm and not hot drink. It's also very important to always have a buddy who's going to be there and provide you that safety if you start to be hypothermic, if you need to put your clothes back on and you cannot do it anymore. So the basics for me is always to have easy clothes to put on, a buddy with you, and to have something warm to drink. So yeah, I don't know if that, and I'm not sure I got the question. A contrast, you mean about the sauna as well?
Yeah, going between hot and cold, it can be done safely. And as you know, in the Nordic countries in Scotland, we've done it for generations. But as you've alluded to, it's got to be done really safely. And I just
I'll,
wonder if that was just a poor
yeah, yeah,
experience.
yeah. I'll put Marc Cohen is an expert on the topic, and he's got amazing podcast. So I'm going to make it easier for everyone, and I'm going to put a link in the show notes to his podcast on sauna, and I highly encourage everyone to watch it. But for me, and Mark, please correct me, but there are pros and cons of going from ice to cold or having a break in between. You just have different benefits whether you go straight to the cold to the hot, or if you put. It's not like it's one is good or the other is the other is bad. In terms of cardiovascular massage, it's fantastic to go from vasodilatation to vasoconstriction. So it's really nice. That's why the Russians they do it and they plunge for just 10 seconds into, or the Japanese into an ice bath. And there is some benefits of self-regulating and getting the body to heat up by itself or cool down by itself before you change. So yeah, they're both are great. And sometimes I like a warm bath, sometimes I like an ice bath. Both are nice.
I think it's that they magnify the benefits when you do hot and cold. I say it's like a bicep curl for your vascular system. So you're contracting and then relaxing. So you relax and when you're in the heat, you relax, and you're always in the heat, Alex, because you're in Bali. But then all the blood goes to the outside of your body. It picks up metabolic waste products and it's going through your muscles, but they're not generating new waste products. So that flushes everything. When you go into the cold, it sends the blood into your core. So it goes through your liver and your kidneys, and it flushes out any waste products that have been picked up. And the other thing in your core, when the blood goes to your core, it's going into your bone marrow. And your bone marrow is where your stem cells are. And it's really good to give your stem cells a good exercise and a workout because they regenerate your body. And a lot of the benefits of ice bathing, I think, is from that regeneration. And I like to say you want to feel the heat in your feet and the cold in your bones. Because when you feel the heat in your feet, your whole body must be hot because your feet is where you lose a lot of heat from the knees down. And when you feel the cold in your bones, not that you're fully chilled, but it means you get that cold, you get a fullness inside your body. It means your bone marrow is getting a nice rush of blood, and then your stem cells are getting activated, and you're doing a lot of regeneration. And your blood vessels are going from open to closed to open to closed. But I really like how Alex, and I also always say that the key is after you've done the hot and the cold, you do the rest. And you want to have, to try and actively do nothing. It's like the shavasana at the end of the yoga class. And that's the gold you get from that really going deep into doing nothing. And I would say, you might think you're doing nothing, but there's always less you can do. Like doing nothing is a spiritual practice, and the preparation of the hot and the cold, or just the ice bath, is a preparation for actively doing nothing. And that's where you get, you find your inner true self, that point of stillness that's the same in everybody.
Amen.
Thank you both.
You're welcome. Anyone else before we close? Yes, Monica, go ahead.
Alex, Mark, I just wanted to know that people with knee surgery, 8 months to the surgery, can they experience ice bath?
Well, again, Mark can answer, but for me, it really depends of what state you are in your surgery. But ice bath is amazing for reduction of inflammation. So, you know, that's
If it's 8 months to the surgery, but the inflammation is still there.
I didn't hear the question.
the after knee surgery, but the sutures is still there, you're saying?
The 8 months to the surgery, the surgery happened 8 months ago.
We
But
cannot
then,
hear you too well, Monica. Is there a way for you to get a microphone?
can you hear me now?
Little bit.
Okay.
Maybe in the chat.
Maybe type your question. Anyone else? Well, this Monica types her question. Last chance. So, friends, I facilitate 3 weeks transformational trainings. Next one is in August. I do workshops, I have online courses, teacher trainings online now coming out. So if you guys are enjoying all that and you want to see me as excited when it comes to breath work and authentic relating and heartfelt connection, well, hit me up. I would love to welcome you online. I do this in India and I do this in Bali. So you are very welcome there. All right. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. We will keep Monica and we'll answer to you guys and I will stop the recording. Okay. So we're staying if others want to answer.